Hey, Manny Teleberry here. What I wanted to do was kind of create a quick video and just kind of tell you all my story dealing with AS. I can tell you that, I really appreciate a lot of what I'm seeing. And what I found is that it seems to me that everyone who deals with this illness or disease, it seems like everyone has their own set of personal issues. And so what I wanted to do is just kind of tell you all my story, because hopefully some of you all can relate to some of the things that I've went through. And it can also help you all as far as I can tell you some of the things I've done to deal with what I'm doing. But I actually just got diagnosed a few years ago, and my AS has been basically, it's been around for many years, but I just got diagnosed a few years ago, and I'll tell you what happened with me. I got uveitis or iritis in my left eye, I think in around 1999 or 2000. It's the first time I had experienced it, and unfortunately I went to the hospital and they treated it the wrong way, and so ultimately it took about 6 months to get rid of. Now, if you all have not experienced the iritis or the uveitis yet, what it is, it's basically inflammation that gets in the eye, and it's treated with steroids, and you have to dilate the eye, and it's a very prolonged process. I mean, I probably had it 12 to 15 times, and it seems that, sometimes I can get rid of it in a month or so, and sometimes it can take 4 months to get rid of. I can tell you, the sooner you diagnose it and the sooner you treat it, the easier it is to get rid of. So I got it originally, like I said, 99 or 2000 for the first time. And then what happened is I started getting this iritis in my left eye about every 12 to 14 months. It would show up. And I also have a major eye issue that has basically left me legally blind in both eyes. And I'm basically going to eye specialists anyway. And so they were actually treating the iritis, and what they told me was that this was a issue with the body. It wasn't an issue with the eye. Now the thing is, I have a degenerative eye disease, and I just figured this might be a side effect, but I was told by a number of different eye doctors that this was basically coming from another place, and they, suggested I go to a medical doctor and all that. And so ultimately, around the third or fourth time I'd started going to this eye doctor to get treated, I was actually given a bunch of blood work. I mean, they did quite a bit of blood work on me, and this would have been probably around 2004 or 2005. Quite a bit of blood work. And what this eye doctor was doing is he was looking for the cause of the iritis, because it didn't make sense that I was getting it so often. And he did all this blood work. They didn't find anything. And then what happened is around 2012, I had another eye doctor who decided to run all the blood work again, and he is the one who actually found it. And so this is what I have dealt with since 1999. I've had uveitis or iritis in my left eye, I think, like I said, 10, 11, 12, 13 times. Once I've got it in both eyes, which is really difficult to treat. And then what has happened over time, I have got more and more of the symptoms that come with this disease. Now, fortunately, and a lot of you are probably going to experience the same thing, I have not dealt with a whole lot of back issues. I'll tell you my experience in dealing with back issues. I think around 2002 or 2003, my back started going out on me periodically. And what would happen is I would wake up and I wouldn't be able to move. I mean, I wouldn't be able to get out of bed, and I would literally have to roll myself over and then push myself out of bed. And I owned a pool room at the time. I was on my feet. I worked 60 or 70 hours a week. And I just thought that this was just my back having issues. Now what I found out later is that my back wasn't going out, it was basically freezing up, and I know a lot of you all have talked about that. But the back would go out periodically on me like that. And what would happen is I would wake up, wouldn't be able to move very well at all, and then it would come and go as it pleased. And I think a lot of you, again, have probably dealt with this where, you know, you have either the issues with the back or you have other issues and they just show up and they leave when they want. And that's what the situation has been with me. So 2003, 4, 5, somewhere in there, started having issues with the back, and that would show up about once every 12 to 15 months, very similar to the issues with the eyes. And the thing that has got me probably more than any of this is the fatigue issue. And I think someone described it as waking up wearing a straight jacket, not a straight jacket, but a lead jacket where you just can't seem to move. And I have been having a lot of issues with fatigue for probably the last 6 years. On and off, shows up when it wants, leaves when it wants. And what I am seeing in what I've been dealing with is that the ankylosing spondylitis, basically it shows up more often, takes more, and it takes more time to leave. So all of these issues that I'm dealing with, it just seems like they're getting a little bit worse as time progresses. I can tell you, I just got rid of the uveitis on my left eye about a week ago. I started having a lot of stiffness in the back and the neck. I had never had neck pain up to 4 weeks ago, and the neck pain was persistent for at least 3 weeks, and I have done everything I can to treat that, and that has been a real issue. And like I said, I had never had that before, and I know a lot of you had all had mentioned that, the neck pain, the leg pain, the back pain. And I tell you, I haven't experienced as much of that as what a lot of you all have experienced. So most of what I've experienced has been uveitis that just basically comes and goes, back pain that basically showed up and left on its own, probably anywhere from 6 to 8 times, and then now the neck issues, but the biggest issue for me has been the fatigue. And that is really, I would compare it to having the flu really bad, where your body is basically using all of its energy to fight that illness, and you just can't get your wind. And I tell you what, that just shows up at any time. And what I have found is that, you know, you will sleep hard. And what I mean by that is you will go to sleep thinking you're going to wake up at a certain time, and you'll sleep an extra 5 hours. And then when you wake up, you don't feel like you have slept at all, which is a real issue for me. And so I can tell you that that is persistent. That has probably been the biggest issue I have dealt with, is the issue with the fatigue. And so what I have done, first of all, I started, you know, a number of businesses, and I work for myself. And what I've done is created a situation where I can really work around my medical issues. So I work when I want, and if I have to take some time off, I just take some time off, and it's not an issue. And if you can get in that position, or if you can find someone who's understanding of the disease, I think that really, really helps a lot. But I'll be honest with you, you know, I've had many, many jobs, and it just isn't conducive to working a full-time job, especially with the fatigue and the type of work I do. So, you know, that's just kind of been my story. And so, like I said, it's a little different from what a lot of you all have all posted. Again, I think this disease manifests within each person a little bit differently. Like, it's interesting because I went through a number of videos and no one's mentioned the uveitis, right? And quite a few have mentioned persistent back issues where they have very, very long periods of time where they can't move around, and I just haven't had as much of that. And like I said, what I have found is usually when that shows up, at least pretty quick. But again, I can tell you that in the last 6 to 9 months, I'm having more back issues. I'm having the neck issues now, the uveitis, and what happens a lot of times is these things that show up, they linger a little bit. The fatigue sticks around a little bit longer than it used to. So I just thought I'd put all of this out there and kind of tell you all my story. Again, I appreciate all the stories you've all told, and I think that getting someone else's perspective is extremely important in kind of combating this thing. Now, I'll be honest with you, never seen a doctor on this. The furthest I've been is to the eye doctor who actually diagnosed it, and I'm 100% accurate on the fact that I have it, because what I have also found is that usually when I get the inflammation in the eye, I have a little bit issue with the fatigue, or I have a little issue with the back, and it all kind of shows up around the same time. But I haven't seen a rheumatologist, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not in a position where I'm ready to go on medicine all the time. I think that for me that would be counterproductive. The side effects from a lot of medicines, the stories people tell, and then the other thing that I've asked a lot of questions about, and if anyone knows the answer to this, I'd really like to know. Do the medicines that any of you all take reduce the side effects? Reduce you've got ankylosing spondylitis, which is a inflammation in the back and in the joints, but does the medicine that you take prevent uveitis, prevent issues with the neck, prevent the fatigue, which is really the biggest issue that I have of all of it? And if my understanding is the medicine doesn't prevent all of these other side effects, and so that's the reason I've been hesitant to actually see a doctor and go forward on that. So I want to thank you all for watching the video. I promise I will post more videos about AS in the future. You can do a number of things here. You can go to, in YouTube, there's a place, About Me place, where you can actually friend me on Facebook. You can send me an instant message on Facebook. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, but I can tell you my YouTube channel is 99% about marketing, mindset, upward mobility, and things like that. And then also I've got a private Facebook group for coaches and consultants. And if there's enough interest, I might start a private AS Facebook group. I think that would be interesting as well. But like I said, if you have anything you'd like to share with me, please feel free to reach out. And I've also got my email in there, so you can email me as well. But I appreciate y'all taking a look at my video today, and thanks a lot.